So we're seeing more people of retirement age choosing what's called partial retirement. So that's when someone enters retirement while still working, even if it's just a part-time or even a seasonal job. So we have our financial pro, Mark Triplett, joining us here this morning with a little bit of insight into this trend. Mark, thank you for joining us. Well, let's jump right into it right here. So what are some of the reasons that people are pursuing these partial retirements?
Well, retirement means different things to different folks, Joseph. And partial retirement is a strategy for some folks that maybe are in higher stress, higher paying jobs and want to get into something lower stress, maybe a lower paying job, what they enjoy or something that they really like doing. Others, they might go into partial retirement because they have to. They need it to make ends meet. But regardless of the decision to do so, it is becoming a more popular trend. And we see that in our planning with the folks that we serve happening more and more.
And like you said, some people, maybe they're not wanting that stressful job anymore. So are there any industries in particular that are seeing more of these partial retirees?
I don't know any data on specific industries, but I can tell you anecdotally, some of the folks that we work with who want to retire at an earlier age, maybe instead of traditionally retiring at 65, they want to retire at 60 or even 55. They're looking to get out of what they're doing right now full time. That is maybe a grind, maybe like I said, a higher paying job that just really taxes them emotionally and mentally. And they want to transition into something that maybe they're passionate about, but doesn't pay quite as much. But at that point, perhaps they've done enough saving and putting money away where they don't need to be funding retirement accounts and they can reduce the amount of income coming into their household. Kids are out of the house, they pay for college, et cetera. So those are the type of things that we're seeing in our planning practice.
Now, something I'm curious about, when you have this extra money that's coming in, even after you have actually retired, does that have any impact on like tax problems?
It can surely impact taxation. Anytime you have cash flow coming into the household from employment, Uncle Sam's got his hands out and wants a piece of that. And when you transition from full-time working into a retirement position, but you still have income coming in, we have to take into account that would impact the tax rate that you're in, perhaps increase your effective tax rate. If you've claimed Social Security, it could subject your Social Security check to taxation at maybe a higher rate. And for some folks that are high income earners, it could even impact their Medicare premiums.
And on that note right there, what kind of impact would it have on health insurance, just really quickly here?
So a lot of folks that want to retire earlier than Medicare eligibility age, 65 currently, we have to account for the cost of health care. And so that could mean going out and buying individual insurance to make that gap where you're eligible for health care through Medicare. And we have to account for a pretty hefty price tag. It doesn't mean you can't do it, but we really have to be paying attention to that, just how much cash flow the household is going to have to absorb in order to pay for each individual in a couple, for example, for those healthcare premiums. They could be upwards of $900 to $1,000 a piece per individual who's under that age 65.
Absolutely. A lot of things you have to think about. All right, Mark, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.